Hello and welcome to Stand Up World, episode 70. We have a great show for you. We're back after a little time off. I had some personal time. I had to serve a little prison time. Get that over with. No, but I'm doing good, feeling good, healthy, and have an excellent show. An old friend of mine who I've known since he was a kid, Marlon Wayans, who is a super talent, the baby of probably one of the most famous comedy families in history. I love this guy. I love his brothers. I knew both his parents, who they've lost recently, and Marlon has done a special called Good Grief, dealing with that loss in a way that only Marlon can. It's crazy. It's just nuts, but it's great. And Marlon came later to stand-up comedy than some of his brothers and some of his friends, but he worked his butt off, and he works so hard on his craft, and I really am excited to talk to him about it. So we're just going to get into it. Let's bring him on board. Marlon Wayans, how are you, pal?
What's up? I'm good, Mike Binder.
I
How are
love
you?
you, man. Thanks for doing
I love you
this.
too.
I know you're killing it right now, and I really wanted to get with you because I just I love your artistry right now. You've always made me laugh, and I think I met you when you were just a kid,
Yeah, I
right?
might have been, I don't know, I think I was like 18, 19. How old was I
Yeah,
when David did Blake? Damon did Blake Man right after Mo Money. So I was about maybe near 20.
yeah. I think I met you right before that when we were starting it, and
Yeah,
at that house he had up on above Mulholland. I remember
yeah.
when I remember the first time I met you, the first couple of times, you were always with Sean. And every time you guys, I told Damon this not long ago. You guys, it was just my memory is no matter every time you'd walk together, it'd be like you'd knock into each other. It just
Yeah.
and it might, it's just the energy was like two guys just knocking into each other, talking, make each other laugh. You'd finish
We
each
were
other's sentences.
Heckle and Jekyll. We was attached by
Yeah,
the head.
yeah.
Sean and I, but since we was kids, we were, it was funny. My dad used to call us Marlon and Sean. It was like one name. Marlon and Sean. He would never
Yep.
call me without calling Sean. It was Marlon and Sean. And when we were kids, we used to like go to bed at the same time. We'd watch Abbott and Costello Sunday mornings. We'd watch Jerry Lewis and D. Martin movies. We'd watch Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, and we'd watch like the Honeymooners. And all we used to dream about were was being famous together and doing our own TV show one day together. So when we actually did Wayans Brothers, that was so huge for us because that's something we dreamed about since we was like 5 and 6 years old.
Yep. And I remember you guys, you were there at Gold and you had so much confidence, you guys. But and I think Sean was doing stand up before you, right?
Sean was doing stand up. Sean's been doing stand up since he was like 15.
And he was funny, man. He had some great stuff.
He's still to me, one of the funniest guys that's never done a special. Sean is
Why? Why
underrated.
hasn't
I
he?
don't know. Because Sean's a perfectionist, man. And I'm like, man, you've been doing it 40 years. Don't you think you got a perfect set? I, I think I think too, Sean, you know, some artists take their whole life to make one great painting. A brilliant visionary, like a lot of our movies, it was Sean's idea. I think with stand up, I think he just loves the art and he don't care about like doing the specials and this and that. He just loves hitting the stage. And I've always wanted the huge fame. I've always wanted the to reach the pinnacle. I always wanted to go past the clouds. I've always wanted to dream and see what the stars, touch a star. Like I've always had these colossal visions of myself and my career, and I wanted something legendary that was just huge in my mind. I may never see it, but that's the work I'm putting in. It's not like I'm just going, let me just put stuff out to get there. I just think I'm in a place where I know where when my art is ready to to put out there because I want to create other stuff. I don't want to spend my life working on that one painting. I want to do a bunch of dope paintings and be like, I don't have nothing else to paint and be looking at a blank canvas. Like, what am I gonna paint this time?
Well,
That's what I love.
isn't
I love a
that
blank
some
canvas.
saying like perfection is the enemy of greatness, something like that. I forget what that saying is, but you can.
It sounds right to me, but
But listen, man,
look,
listen. I have to say, Marlon, I've always had so much respect for you, and I do think that you've always said you haven't never been shy about what you want and where you're going and how you see yourself. And I've been in this business a long time, you know that. And I love this business.
I've watched you go gray.
You watch me go gray.
You went from
And
red to gray.
red to gray. And that's my next special, red to gray. But Marlon, one of the things that I've seen in my career in being in this business that I love is guys like you that aren't afraid to say, that's the point on the universe I'm going to go there. When I was a kid, I worked at the comic strip in Florida with Eddie Murphy. He was just a little kid. He was a little kid. He was an opening act. They sent him down. And man, he would sit there after the show. He goes, I'm going to be the Beatles of comedy. You know that, Mike. I'm going to change everything. And you'd finally go, Eddie, just pay your dues. Okay, I got it. You're funny. No, Mike, look me in the eye. Look me in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
And, within 2 years, he was on Saturday Night Live. And I'm going to be a movie star. I'm going to be albums. I'm going to this. And everybody I've known, Howie Mandel, Jim Carrey, and you fit in that mold so perfectly because you can't just say it. You got to have the talent and more.
And
you got to
do the work.
You got to do the work. And,
yeah.
You got into stand up a little bit later than everybody else in your family.
Yeah.
And you talked about that in God Loves You.
Yeah. Well, I because it's funny, my brothers used to tell me to do stand up because that's the way my family did it. And I love my brother, but I've always wanted my own identity.
And by the way, let me just interject. You thought like a stand-up. I remember you used to do this bit for us, hanging around the set. I'm blaming about your gay uncle that would babysit. That would babysit. Just you guys need another bath.
You boys get undressed and come eat. Yeah.
You guys get undressed and come eat. You guys need another bathtub. Come on. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was like, that was stand-up.
Yeah. It's crazy. I've always been funny. But I just stand-up for me. I was scared, I think, of doing stand-up. And it's because for so many reasons. One reason is it's just part of the fear is what if I'm not funny? What if I can't be funny to everybody like I'm funny to my family or funny to friends, and then with the pressure of being funny. And then it was, what if I am funny? And what if I become great at this? And, and then in stand-up too is like, in stand-up comedy, you talk about your life. What was very intimidating for me was there was 5 other people doing comedy about our life. So what am I going to say when it's my turn to talk? They done told all the stories. And then once I started doing stand-up comedy, I realized, when I went back, I'll talk about that. I realized every comedian has their own point of view of their journey. You and I could be in the same situation and you tell your version of the story and I tell my version of the story, and it's 2 completely different versions, right? So it's, and that's every night doing stand-up. Everybody's going to have a political joke. Everybody's going to have a sex joke. Everybody's going to have a relationship joke. Everybody's going to talk about their family. And you got comedians going back to back to back, sometimes 30, 40 comedians one night at the comedy store. And what you find is that's what makes comedy special, is that it's your point of view of your story and your situation. And I didn't understand that until I went back to stand up. But no, I because when Chris Rock heckled me when I was 18, my brother kept urging me to do comedy. And I was like, no, 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 I'm gonna be an actor. I'm gonna do it my way. And then I got Batman, right? And then I had more money, right? So I'm having success. Um, so when I did start doing stand-up when I was like 19, 18, after I think it was after Mo Money, 19, I moved to California. I did it about 20 times. And Chris Spencer, or maybe 60 times, and Chris Spencer and Alex Thomas and Daryl Heath, we used to all go out together, and they used to be like, do you know how funny you are? And they used to be like, now, if you could just do the same material every night, I was like, that's boring for me. I don't want to do the same material every night. Me and Chris was just talking about this. I did a show for him the other day. And he was like, when we was talking about the old school, and he's like, you wouldn't stick to the same act. You would do a brand new 15 minutes, 10 minutes every time you hit the stage. If you would have just, we used to be like, if you just stick to the same 10 minutes and work that joke. And I was like, I get bored. And then we was talking about it, and it's like, that's how I am now as an artist. I don't want to spend 5 years doing the same material. That would drive me up a wall, because I'm an actor, because I'm a writer, because I'm a producer, because I as an artist, I know story. I don't need that long, right? I can do a sitcom in 3 days. If we could film on Thursday, I have Fridays off. I learn the script on Monday, they do rewrites on Tuesday. Wednesday, we're shooting. Thursday, we're in front of an audience. So if I could do that, those 40-something pages, where I'm the lead of that show, and I can do that in 4 days, then I can do a special every year.
Yes.
And you blacked out. Can you see me?
I'm doing this in blackface now. Don't be offended.
I'll try not to. I can't see you. There you go.
Okay.
And that's what I'm applying to this art. And it's not
by the way, I get it, and I remember when you just wanted to fuck around, and I totally get it. But something happened, and I think, look, you've had an odyssey as a stand-up comedy, which is so interesting to me, and which I loved. God Loves Me. You know that. I thought, but it was one of the hardest things you could possibly do, which is make a special out of one story that isn't really your story, and yet somehow or another it is your story. I called Damon. I said, Damon, I love that special. He goes, only Marlon could take a story that isn't about him and make it about him. And it's true, but it was. And you made it not only about you made it about God.
Yeah.
You know, and it was beautiful. It knocked me on my side. I called Chris. I said, Chris, you got to watch this thing, you know? And it was like, it was so amazing. But
thank you.
It was so amazing. It's a piece of.
I don't think he's watched it yet. He still hasn't called me.
No, he hasn't called me and said he watched it either. But the point is, I do too. I mean, look.
But what happened was.
But let me just say one more thing. You had to work so hard on that. It was so obvious. You can't. That was something you had to do night after night after night for a long time.
4 months. It took me 4 months to write it on a stage. I literally, the day it happened, I went to the Oscars and I was talking to people about it. I remember I went to the Oscar parties and I left before Will got there because I don't know. I think it was God. Like I wouldn't know what to say to him, and I know he won, and I was happy for Will because I know Will, and I texted Will. I was like, I'm happy for you, but I want you to celebrate tonight. But bro, I want you to take and do a 6-hour therapy session on Monday, and I want to know what the fuck happened to you. I'm scared for you. You had a mental breakdown right there on stage, and he laughed, but he was like, "Will do," because he knew what I was saying. I was coming as a friend, and then Chris, when it happened, I hit Chris like, "Yo, you okay?" what state is you're facing, and to make them laugh. And when it happened, everything flashed in front of my eyes. My whole experience. It was like Will hit him so hard, it slapped me into a space of optimal creativity. And I just went on stage that weekend in Oxnard, and I talked about it for 10 minutes. And by the end of my weekend, which was 5 shows, I had a half hour, 20 minutes. And I just kept building on it. And then it became 40 minutes. I went and did an hour and a half on just that. And I was like, here. And then I started adding my truth to it and my experience. And before I knew it, in 3 months, I had the show. I perfected it in 1 more month, and then I shot it in August. So I came up with the idea on March 22nd.
By the way, 4 months.
I shot the special August 7th.
That's amazing. 4 months. I thought it would take you a year to do that. I thought it was for people that haven't seen it. You've got to watch this special. He tells a story about his love for Will, Jada, and Chris, and how they all impacted his life. And that slap in that moment, he realized everything in his life happened exactly the way it's supposed to happen.
Absolutely.
And it's a parable. I've never seen a stand-up special quite like it. I don't know.
Thank you, man.
I don't know anyone who's done anything. I can't compare it to anything else. And then when you say you made it 4 months, I'm just gonna hang up when I'm done with you and just quit comedy. And then for you to follow it up with Good Grief, which I think is just as good, if not better, in a whole nother realm. And I'm really saying this to you sincerely. I'm not, I love you, and I'm in awe of you at the same time. Damon, your brother, I love Damon, and I've always thought that he was one of the greatest stand-ups of all time.
He's my favorite. I just don't say that to him because he's my brother. So I'm like, Pryor's GOAT, but Damon to me, because I had to watch Damon up close and watch him put together, watch him be fearless on that stage, watch him do characters, watch him create monologues, watch him not be afraid or moved by the audience and never hold on to the same material. He would just keep switching it up and challenging himself as a writer. And Damon's my favorite, and he does characters. He talks about
me too
in a funny
and
way.
He comes in and out of the characters in a way that is Pryor-esque, but is so Damon. And he talks about his and like a Bill Cosby. But one night Damon and I walked down towards the cellar, and we went into the cellar, and Chappelle was there. We hung with Chappelle, and Chappelle begged him to go on stage, and he wouldn't. And then afterwards, we hung out with him all that night. And Chappelle just kept saying to me, "There's nobody but Damon. There's no one like Damon. I'm telling you, man." And Dave was just talking up Damon in a way. I was saying, I wish Damon understood how you feel.
Dave loves Damon.
Yeah, and I do too. But then,
and Dave tells me the same thing.
And then to see you, come I feel like, man, you've come like Roger Rabbit up in the lanes there to these guys, and to another level with these 2 specials. And then when I talk to you about it, I realize,
thank you,
there's a reason why it's happening. It's because you're doing it in a fearless way. You're not looking for, you want approval, you want to be great, you want the town to love you, but you want it yourself. You want to be great. You want to make yourself happy, and you want to push yourself. And you're not getting to a point where you go, okay, that's good enough. And I've come, after leaving stand up for a long time and getting back into it and doing this podcast, which is really about the specials, and which I see them as they're like albums. And I think the greatest stand-ups were really just songwriters, And the great singer-songwriters that I
I
know
agree.
are just they they never are really done. They're never happy because they understand once they lay an album down, those are the songs that were from that part of their life, and now they got to do it and songs about the
Right,
next part of their life. And I feel like you are in that groove,
right.
so deep in that groove that you're not gonna. I don't know. I don't think you'll ever not do stand up, huh?
Swift, man. Like, how many albums this dude gonna drop? He's touring again.
No,
No,
but
it's crazy. And I think what it is too, if I look at my journey, right, it's because I'm supposed to be doing this at this level because of the skill set that I've had and I've worked toward my whole life. It's been since I was 5 years old. And I've been around legends and legendary people like my brothers, like Eddie Murphy, like Robert Townsend, like yourself. I have been everybody's little brother, and I've gotten to learn from great comedic minds just watching you guys or hanging around in conversations and then my time doing TV and writing movies and producing movies since I was 19 20 years old, like, and now to do stand up and take it seriously at 38. I was a star a long time and I said I'm not comfortable with this. I want to be a superstar. I want to be a worldwide superstar. I want that worldwide, international Eddie Murphy in the '80s success. I want that Jim Carrey in the '90s success. I want to reach the pinnacle. I want that Robin Williams legendary career where I could do drama and comedy and be effective in both. I could make you laugh and cry in the same sentence. I want that kind of career. I want to be able to do characters. I want to be able to do dark dramas. I want to be able to do it all. And now I want to do specials. I know I make it a point. I I won't do a special until I'm comfortable enough to go, I know what my next hour is. So when I film a special, like when I did God Loves Me, I filmed it August 7th. August 15th, I was back on the road with a brand new hour, working on Good Grief, right? And then when I finished Good Grief, I shot that 11/11 at the Apollo. I went out 11/16 or 11/15, and I worked this brand new hour that I have now that I'm gonna film next, and I think I'm gonna film that in like 4 months to have it out by next June. And I think it's better than Good Grief and God Loves Me.
Now
This
let me
new
ask
one
you.
is
I got a practical question for you that I'm very curious about. When because you replenish the material very fast, and
yep.
uh, my friend Josh Wolf, who's always out on the, Josh, right?
No, I don't know, John.
Oh, he's a wonderful comedian, but he's always out on the road doing clubs and shows and little theaters and doing an hour a night. So
Yeah.
do you when you do a concert, Marlon Wayans in concert, do you go out there and build an hour as while you're doing a theater, or do you need to come back and do the little showcases and play the dinky clubs to do it?
No, I do it. I do it at my show. People watch me write. They don't even know it. They're literally, I'm doing a club with 500 people and I'm writing on that stage. I
That's
do a club
great.
with 350 people. I use my hour to write my hours instead of parceling 5 minutes here, working 10 minutes there, then going across town. So I don't need to audition it. I just need to, if it's in my head, I just need to crystallize it on a stage and explore it and then go, let's do it. Or I'll play a really small 200 seater, right? It don't matter whether I'm in town or not in town, right? That time that they need that time on stage at the comedy store. They need that time at, they need that time. I don't
So,
know.
but do you
I
have
know people like doing that.
you have tougher shows? I mean, like when you're working out the whole hour and you're doing an hour with newer material, or do you jump back to old stuff for part of the time, or what do you do?
No stuff. Oh no, you fight through it. You may not get as many laughs as you did, as you will in 3 or 4 months, right? Your laugh per minute ain't gonna be the same. Your big laughs, you start finding them, but it's still a great show. I see something because every every show when you're doing that, I have an intention. What do I want? I want to try this ending. I want to make sure that this ending works. Okay, now I want to add in, I have this run that I want to do. I want to add it in here and I want to see if this works for callbacks. And then I try it. And it's crazy. And my people that work with me can tell you, this is what I do. I have my own process. Like literally, my nephew, Craig, who goes on the road with me, he's a really funny writer, producer. He watches me go out there and just like put it together. And I go, you know what? I'm going to try it this time. I'm going to add this thing to it. And then I'll just go on stage and I'll just do it.
That's amazing.
No, I don't need to. I could put it in I could put it in a note, right? I'll send it to myself. What's the initial joke? I put it in my notes, and then I don't need to refer to it because I remember scripts. I remember dialogue. I remember TV shows. So when I'm remembering my act, if I know the structure, then I get to say what I want about the truth. I already lived most of these experiences. I just got to bring out the funny of whatever truth I'm telling.
That's great. That's a talent. That's great. I actually, I realize there's no way to do this without jumping full bore into the water. You can't tip your toe in it,
Yep. Damon taught me in 2, don't be afraid of the crowd. It's like the more you unstrap from working for the audience and the more you work for yourself and make the audience witnesses to you in your playground, having your fun, I think the better the experience is for the audience. Damon taught me don't give them power. Damon taught me watching him, oh my God, you know what comedians are? We're surfers. Damon sees the crowd, it's a big wave. He jumps on his board with excitement and he swims toward that wave and he can't wait to ride it. Because there's an excitement in, I'm going to take y'all on a journey. I'm going to ride you. You don't ride me. You're not wiping me out. I'm riding you. And having that power and that control allows you to be able to protect the writer in you on stage, because the writer wants to please the audience, right? Or the comedian, one of them have to arrest each other and go, no. I got this. Don't be so desperate. They like you. Trust that they like you. Trust they're gonna love you. But don't be afraid of them.
No.
So the more I've learned not to be afraid of the crowds, and the more I've learned that, hey, if I got an hour or hour and a half on stage, I don't worry about if I'm going to be funny or not. I've always been funny. I trust that I'm going to be funny. And if I don't feel it, then I won't, I will take that break and be like, I need to write some new stuff. But right now I don't dig back in old material. When I do a special, I retire the material. I never say it again. Unless I'm calling back from a special as a callback. But other than that, I retire the material. I never say it again. Unless I'm calling back from a special as a callback. But other than that,
is it cool? Is it cool if I do God Loves Me on the road?
Do it. It's all yours.
Hey man, I think you might have stolen that. That sounds familiar.
Hey, Chris Rock slapped me.
I also want to say that bit you did on the Daily Show with the prosecutor in Georgia is going so viral. But
it's going crazy.
But that was brave. That was just Marlon not caring about nothing.
I never do, Mike. These are my best years, man. This is what's funny is like people been watching me, literally watch me grow, because I was 19 when I first entered the game and maybe 17 because I was on in Living Color in the background. And, as comedians or artists, it takes us 20, 30 years to really concrete our point of view. To really, back in the day, it would take you 30 years to your first special, right?
Yeah.
And now I've been growing for 30 years. So the artist that I started out, I wasn't even ready to be put out.
So I don't doubt it, man. I don't doubt it. The best your next 10 years is fire.
Yes, I agree.
I don't
I'm
doubt
in
it,
that
man.
space.
And you look better than you've ever looked. And,
Thank
I
you.
mean, if you get off the crack pipe, everything's going to come together for you.
I
Really,
don't fuck with crack, man.
I've
I'm more of a
often
meth
said that.
man myself.
I've often said that if he can get off the crack pipe and, and if he can stay away from the 16-year-old boys, everything's going to work for Marlon. It's just going to
I,
come together like
I
magic.
gave up on the 16-year-old boys. But the crack
No.
man, that's a tough one.
Hey, listen, man. I appreciate you talking to me, and
I love you, brother.
everything I'm saying. I'm so proud of you. I love those two specials, and
Wait until you see this new one. I want you to come out and see
I'm
what I'm
gonna,
working on.
I'm gonna.
This is the most beautiful one. You're gonna be like, wow. You're really gonna be like,
I don't
wow.
doubt it. You work too
Because as a
hard.
writer, you're gonna appreciate the structure because I'm using 5 stages of grief. You're gonna be like, that's impressive. You're gonna really like this.
I love that. And listen, in good grief, the things you deal with your dad and your mom. I saw you do a lot of it at the Bourbon Room when you came in that night, but when you put it all together into an hour special and with the Christmas caroling and and it's just a beautiful special. I'm telling you, people, if you haven't seen Good Grief yet, please just see. It's just such a beautiful special, and
Thank you. It's on Amazon Prime if you look for it.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. But the way you talk about your mom and your dad, it's just no holds barred. It's just love, and it's silly, and it's it's just a tribute. But it's also it's also it just makes so much sense. The sense of humor you guys have when you talk about it and you realize what you could the basketball you could throw against your mom's head and she could throw back at you. Go, okay, well that's the family,
Yes. Yes.
So
yes. My mama was brilliant.
I love it. By the same token, I remember I think I've told you this story. One night, Damon and I and your dad went to dinner in New York, and we went to see David Allen Greer in a play, a Mammoth play. And your dad was in a great mood. We were having so much fun with him, and we're watching the play. And in intermission, he goes, "Mike, I'm going to see you later. Give me some love. Give me a hug." And we get a hug. And I go, "Damon, why's your dad leaving?" He goes, "He doesn't like it's too much swearing." I said, "Are you kidding me?" He goes, "No, it's too much swearing." I go, "Has he seen your act?" But he didn't want to.
And he's like, there. No, he hasn't seen my act. I never let my parents see. I never let my dad knows. I'm like, yo, stay away. I never let my dad see me do stand-up comedy. Never, because I curse too much. I know I'm too nasty. I think my mom saw me once. But,
that's hysterical. That's hysterical.
Actually, my mom came to set. We played stand-up because Damon didn't let me do what was scripted. He was like, "I want you to write. I see the material. Yeah, now I want you to write some new stuff." I'm like, I'm filming right now. We're filming the scenes, to be a stand-up that whole movie. And the set on the day that I was butt naked on stage and blew my head off. That's the day my mom
which movie was that?
Behind the Smile. You was in it, Mike.
I was in that movie. That's right. I remember that scene. Yeah, that's right. I was in that movie. That's
the great movie. Damon's crazy ass never released.
I know. I love that movie. It was so much fun.
It was such a good movie. It's Dave Chappelle's favorite movie.
I know, man. It's unbelievable. All right, listen.
I'm gonna release it one day.
Right. All right, I'm gonna let you go.
I love you, brother.
Have a great day, and I want to see that next hour.
I hope I try. I work hard not only to make my big brothers proud, but you've always been like a big brother to me, and I hope I make you guys proud as well. I love you.
You're the man. Talk to you soon, okay?
Anytime, my friend. Love.
Okay. I'll tell you, that guy's a special guy. He really is. I love him. And you've got to see Good grief, on Amazon Prime. And God Loves Me. And if he comes to your neighborhood, go see him live. He loves what he does. He loves life. He's a life force, you know? And that's it. That's it. So it's good to be back. Like I say, I took a few weeks off, but we have a couple really great shows coming up and doing some good shows that I'll be telling you about real soon. And that's it. Thanks a lot. It's Good Grief. It's on Amazon Prime. Check it out. Bye.